Hey guys, the following video is brought to you by American Collectors Insurance. Stick around towards the end for some more information.
What we have here is our latest sort of restoration project. It is a 1967.5 Datsun 2000 Roadster. Now, why we say 67.5 and why it makes it special is that in 1968, they actually changed the window height of the Roadster to be a bit taller. DOT required a certain swept area that needed to be met. Also in 1968, they went to a 2000. So this car in 1967 would have a 1600 engine. But what makes these ones rare is they have a combination of a low window with the 2000 motor. There's no real official stats as to how many were made. We think it's somewhere around 500. Because it was one of these sort of mishmash of this is what the factory had put together at the time, they don't really document that stuff well. But these are by far the most valuable roadsters you can do, and definitely one that warrants, doing the right type of restoration work too. So we actually sourced this car in Japan. It is a US market car. It was built in Japan, sent to California sometime, when it was new. And then we had found that somebody from Japan had found it during the mid-'80s in California, exported it back to Japan, and we found it there because we were specifically looking for a low window 2000, so we brought it back over again. So this car's actually been back and forth, I think, 3 times now. So when we got the car, it was in pretty poor condition, no soft top at all, engine was leaking, carburetors needed to be rebuilt, lots of electrical work, some rust repair. I mean, basically everything that an older Datsun needs, this needed. When we had found a buyer for it, the customer wanted the car to be as correct as possible. We do a lot of modifications sometimes. This one we've kept it relatively tame and true to original form, but like I like to do, it's also got some performance modifications as well. So kind of another cool thing is that because we had brought this car from Japan, the Japanese market roadsters had some differences from the US market roadsters. For example, the front indicators on a US market car were amber. These were clear when we got them. Another part of it was that instead of saying Datsun 2000, it would actually have a Fair Lady badge here. You also see the inspection stickers that they would have put on the car when it needed to be registered in Japan. Something that I think I would like to keep on the car because it just kind of goes to show the story of the car, and to me that's kind of the cool part about these cars. It's not just what it is, but where it's been and kind of the history behind it. So if you're looking to get into something like this, it's not really much more uncommon than any other Datsun of this era. Number one thing to look for is rust and corrosion. These cars are notorious for having thin sheet metal, which is very difficult to repair when it does go bad. Also, when you're dealing with a rare model car, and specifically a half-year model car, sometimes you're trying to find parts that were only available for a certain amount of time. The aftermarket for this car is actually better than most Japanese cars of the era, but parts can still be really tricky to find. It's important that when undergoing a restoration project like this, that it may seem easy when you see somebody do it, but there is a lot involved, and there's a lot within this 45 years that needs attention. Anywhere from the electrical system, steering components, brakes, shocks, chroming is expensive. Some of these parts are not easy to find either, and some of them can be expensive. So when you're looking at a car like this, I would say really shoot for the most solid car you can start with. That just means less work down the road. So another really cool part about this car, something that is, kind of hard to find, just one of those neat parts, is that Datsun at the time was offering what they call the competition package. What the competition package consisted of was twin Mikuni 40mm carburetors, an upgraded camshaft, and then a larger aluminum oil pan. What that allowed you to do was bring the horsepower up from 130 to 150. 150 horsepower in this little chassis is really fun, as you can imagine, and it really makes a huge difference on the engine. But once again, this stuff is really hard to find, and I think we spent probably 4 to 5 months just trying to find the airbox because these things are just so incredibly rare. But I think it's a cool part of history that back in the day they were offering performance parts for these cars, and that's why Datsuns, to me, really kind of stuck with people because they were cars meant to have fun with. Not just something to buy and drive, but something that you could modify, make your own, and make it better and make it faster. So as far as valuations on the Roadsters go, the 1600s, when they're properly restored to original condition, can be anywhere from, let's say, $30,000 to $40,000. The later 68 2000s are much more common. Those cars are a bit less valuable. Values can be anywhere between $5,000 for something that needs some work up to $20,000 plus. So now this one being a 67.5, the most desirable model with the low windshield 2000. These ones have gone anywhere between $60,000 to $70,000 properly restored and up. I mean, the Datsun Nissan collector market is definitely on the rise, and guys are looking for the most rare, most fun models. And when you put a big engine in a small car with a low production number, that's why these cars are valued the way they are.
All right, go to www.americancollectors.com to get your free quote today and see how much you can save. Thanks for watching.